Hi all, this is Skate, and this is the American Light Tank line which has just come out. Well, I say line, it's 4 tanks. But I've played these tanks on console, and they are very good tanks. Now before I go any further with that quickly, I just have to say thank you for everyone who has bared with me while I have been away travelling for the past few weeks. I did make a couple of videos to go up while I was away, but service will now resume as normal. But back on track, you'll notice that the new 4 tanks are spinning around on the screen at the moment. We have the Chaffee, the T-37, the M41 Bulldog and the T-49. And if we look at the tech tree, you will see they come off the M5 Stuart instead of the M7, T-21, T-71 and T-69. Now obviously these tanks are not live in the game yet, so the footage I have is from the test client, so it is against bots. But if you're looking for my very short, simple answer as to what I think, well, disappointed by the Chaffee. It's fantastic fun on console. It is not here so far. T-37, that's alright. Bulldog, holy crap, yes. And then the T-49 is also pretty epic. But the gem out of those 4 really is the Bulldog. Oh my god, it's so much fun. So, let's have a look at them on the move, and I will also throw up some statistics on the left-hand side. Now, just for clarity, the figures on the left are slightly affected by the fact I am running provisions on this, and the first 3 equipment slots are unlocked when I'm playing with this. So you'll see the Traverse is 51, Turret's Traverse 47, Top Speed 52. Now, I'm not saying this thing isn't mobile, but I was disappointed by its mobility. I mean, you can see for yourself on the screen right now. It moves, it plods along quite nicely. But it's just not Chaffee speed. Chaffies are meant to be able to go flying around, pull adrift or slide around a tank and take it out from right behind. She sadly doesn't have the speed to circle. And this is what I was most disappointed by. I like light tanks that are mobile enough to be able to go swerving round a tank and obviously take them out while doing a circle of death. You can't do that in this Chaffee, sadly. What it does have is great gun depression. Don't have the figures to hand, sadly. Obviously when I do a proper review on that I can go through all the details, but the gun depression is very good. If I had to speculate, I would say the gun depression is somewhere around 8 degrees. But don't quote me on that. When we do a proper review, when these things are live, I will be able to give you more in-depth details. This is meant to just be a preview. So in terms of light tank, what it has going for it is the gun, and what it also has going for it is it has great camo. It just... I was just disappointed. I mean, look at it. It's really sluggish to kick off. And then it just doesn't have the traverse to be able to spin around quick enough and circle people. If I had to describe it best, compare it to a tank which is flying around a track and then drives through the river permanently. That's exactly what this tank felt like to me. When you hit the waters and then it just turns really sluggish, that's exactly what this felt like. Once you've got your speed up, yeah, great, go whizzing by. But you're not going to circle anything. And I've said that about 4 or 5 times now. And hopefully that gets the point across that I'm a little bit disappointed by that. I would rather have lost some of the penetration to keep some of that fantastic mobility that Chaffee is known for. Yeah, it doesn't have the greatest traverse speed on PC or console either, but it certainly feels a damn sight better than it did on here. Because on those 2 they have a handbrake, and as a result of having the handbrake, they can pretty much create the traverse speed by sliding, which you just can't do with this one. And before anyone says, yes, I know, they are different games, but they still should have their characteristic feel, these tanks should. Yes, you have to adjust, I am completely aware of that, I'm completely comfortable with that. Certain tanks, DPM, penetration, all has to change on Blitz. Maps are smaller, teams are smaller. But you would hope that the characteristics of a tank wouldn't change or alter that much. For me, I feel the Chaffee has lost that cheeky little I'm a pain in the butt style. It's the only way I can describe it. It is a pain in the ass tank. When you see a Chaffee and it just comes flying behind you, yeah, you pretty much got no hope of trying to get it. You got to hope one of your team members get it for you. You know when you're sitting down enjoying a nice drink outside and you have a wasp or a bee just buzzing around the back of your head and you know you've got to hit it, but you just can't because you know it's either A, going to sting you, or by the time you try to hit it, you're just about to miss it and it's going to sting you anyway. That's what a Chaffee is. It's meant to be that annoying little buzzing, irritating thing which appears behind the enemy and just pops them off one by one. Only downside is if it does get hit, well, it's going to be taken out. But that's why the Chaffee needs the mobility, because, let's be fair, it's got 670 hit points, it has no armor whatsoever to speak of. If you see one of these things, load the HE, because pretty much everything is going to be able to penetrate this thing with the HE, so you really do need to keep on the move. I mean, look at the figures. This thing has 20 penetration with its own HE, and it only has 25 to 19 mil of hull armor. It's going to be able to penetrate itself. So if you've got a VK mounted with a 10.5, or you have nice Stug or Hetzer or anything to that effect, oh, they're going to have a whale of a time. So to summarise the Chaffee, it's got a good gun depression, but it doesn't take away from me the fact that it's... I still just feel disappointed by its mobility. I was expecting to go, whee! Don't tell me you haven't done that while you're playing. Yeah, it's just... I'm just disappointed by the Chaffee. I was really hoping it would maintain that bonkers mobility and just be a right laugh. You're going to need to rely on the gun depression to hide this tank, and you're going to need to try and play it at a little bit of range, because if you do get up close, you're just going to get nailed. So that's the Chaffee in short. T-37. It's better. That's the good part. It's better. Again, it's got great gun depression. It's got two very good guns to choose from. Mobility's better. It traverses quicker. It has a higher top speed, but it has slightly less armor. Now, it's got... Well, I say that. I bounced then. But no, the hull armor is identical. The turret armor, it has 7 less on the front, which doesn't seem like a big deal on the face of it. However, you've got SU-152s, SU-100Ys. You've got much bigger guns firing at this thing. Yeah, you'll see technically 50% of the time an SU-100Y when you're in a Chaffee, but the likelihood is you'll see it nearly every time, or something with a gun that big every time, because this is tier 6. You'll see on the video I am using the autoloader. Again, it has great gun depression, and I'll go through the figures for that after. At the moment, if you look in the bottom left-hand side, you'll see the stats for the non-auto-loading choice on this, which gives you a rate of fire of 10.2. Again, I have some equipment and provisions fitted to this, which will adjust them ever so slightly. But you'll see here again the mobility, it's very good. It's still not what it is on the other platforms. It is a different game, like I said, I do get that. But this thing again, same issue. You are going to struggle to circle things in this tank. You just need to use the mobility to stay at range and to relocate from spot to spot while unloading a clip or shooting with the 76 single shot gun. Now technically the 76mm gun is better in every single aspect. I don't know why I said technically there, because it is better in every single aspect. It has better pen, it has better accuracy, everything is better on it. Aim time even. But for some reason I prefer the autoloader. I think it's just the concept of you come in, you unload your clip very very quickly, and then you run away. So for me, I'll probably end up using the autoloader just because it's more fun. You unload your clip, you run off, as simple as that. And obviously you don't have the armor to be brawling, so to do that short burst damage quickly and then bugger off, that's personally how I prefer to play it. Now again, if you look at the mobility, once it gets up to speed, it's got a very good top speed. But again, it just can't circle, and for me that was something I was pretty gutted about. So it's It's one of those situations where I can't say it's a bad tank or it's going to be a bad tank. In fact, I'm going to say right now, it's going to be a very good tank. But I'm still just disappointed by the fact that you just don't have the mobility to properly circle things. You'll be able to circle things like an IS because they're slow. But anything with a little bit more speed, well, you're going to struggle. Nonetheless, it's still a hell of an upgrade over the Chaffee. You just have to do everything within your power not to get shot. So using the gun depression, playing on ridges, locating from spot to spot at long range, that's pretty much the sort of game you're going to want to play in this. So if we drop out the stats on the bottom left hand side for that 76mm gun, and instead we can put in the stats for the 76mm auto-loading gun. Reload with my current 3 equipment and provisions is 14.5. Reload in between each shell is 2.5. You'll see the AP penetration has dropped 15, and you'll also see the APCR has dropped by 8. You'll notice the damage is different as well, something coming up in the next patch. I imagine most people are already aware by the time this video will go live, but I will put a video out explaining the entire thing. Overall, I personally like the T-37, slightly disappointed by the ability or the inability to be able to circle quite aggressively. I'm going to put that down to possibly ground resistances we can't see. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. Like I said, this is the whole point in preview. I can't give exact figures yet because it's not live, which is why I say it's a preview and why I do stipulate that every time I do a video like this. When it goes live properly, we'll be able to have some more in-depth details on the tank. Okay, right. M41 Bulldog. This is where it's at for me. Chaffee, yeah, it's not what it should be. T-37, it's good, but I still felt slightly disappointed. Bulldog, hell yes, it's good. And it's very drift happy. And I do mean very drift happy. Top speed 72. Traverse 79. Yep, you heard that right. 79 degrees of traverse. Pretty much when you try and turn, you just slide. So you need to prepare for that. So if you're trying to do a close turn to somebody, you need to turn earlier so you slide around them. But it's just going to look cool. It's almost like this is going to be the new Drift King. Goodbye LTTB as far as drifting is concerned. This is going to kill it when it comes to sliding. And everybody loves the LTTB for that reason. Now, just like the LTTB, this thing has fantastic camo. It feels more mobile, even if it's not. Well, it is more mobile, but it feels much more fun than the LTTB, and this is why I'm looking forward to this one the most. It's the most fun. It's ridiculously slidey. It picks up speed, no problem. It's got fantastic camo. It's got great gun depression. And it's an autoloader, or you have a choice of a non-autoloader. Again, 76mm guns. But look at it go! It's an absolute monster. Now, the other ones I mentioned, oh, you can't really circle in these. It's a bit difficult. I can't drive in this. Look at me, straight into that. You can tell I like this one, can't you? No, seriously, right. LTTB is going to be the biggest competitor for this tank, and it's going to be the thing which people compare it to the most. LTTB has a lot more armor. In fact, this has less armor than the Chaffee, and it has less armor than the T-37. So the higher you've gone up the line, the less armor you have. The LTTB is known for those ridiculously troll bounces. You can come around a corner, and if you're not caught at the right angle, I've seen IS bounces off the front of LTTBs, which is the most annoying thing in the world. But you're not going to get the same thing with this. You're not going to get that random lucky bounce, not with this armor. The armor is awful, so that's where the LTTB will beat this tank. But in every other class, I think this is going to be much more fun and much better. Standard ammo is APCR, premium ammo is heat, and one of the complaints I've seen the most already, even though nobody's played this tank, is, oh, it doesn't have the 10 clip autoloader. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. This thing is still fantastic fun. You can see every corner I'm literally sliding, except when I'm going uphill there, and as I'm saying it, typical. But no, in every other way, this tank is, it's great. It's very, very good. It's very fast. It's just brilliant fun. If this had a 10-clip autoloader in Blitz, it would annihilate nearly every single thing it came up against. Either that, or they'd have to put the average damage of each shot to something stupidly low, like 60 to 80. And even then, it would be ridiculous. Because now it's ridiculous. I'm not saying this thing's OP. If I say it's OP, people are going to go, power creep. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's a very, very fun tank. I mean, look at it. Tell me that doesn't make you want to just jump in this tank and slide around like a nutcase. If you like to YOLO, this is the tank for you. If you like to slide, this is the tank for you. If you like to sneak around the map and pop up randomly where people are not expecting you to appear, this is the tank for you. It is brilliant fun. I'm not even trying to drift on every corner now. It just does it every time. So yeah, I kind of lost my place there. It doesn't have the 10-clip autoloader. I personally do not care. It doesn't matter. This thing is still going to be a very, very good tank. I think a lot of people will choose to stay with the 76mm non-autoloader just because it has that little bit of extra penetration. I personally, again, with the T37, I'm going to stick with the autoloader. But look at the bloody speed on this thing. I stopped. Yeah, they are bots, so they're idiots. Just look at it though. It's only got 11-second reload and then 2.5 between the shells. 2.5 would be nice to see that a little bit lower, but to be fair, with the mobility as good as it is, it does not matter. I can't emphasize enough how outrageously good fun and how quick this tank is. You think Dracula is annoying? Put this in the hands of a capable player and watch him tear the team apart. Don't get me wrong, put it in the hands of an incompetent player or somebody who hasn't learned how to play it yet. They're going to YOLO run in, they're going to stop at the wrong point, and they're just going to get HE'd in the face to their death. If you have a player which knows what they're doing, which is the same with every tank, let's be fair, but in a tank like this, it has very strong characteristics, like its mobility and its view range and its gun depression and its camo. So as a result of those things, somebody playing to those advantages, this thing is going to be very, very nasty. Have somebody who doesn't know how to play it, and it's going to be the same as seeing an E25 and someone doesn't know how to play it. You're just going to be able to pick it apart, launch some HE in its face, just deal with it very quickly. But as soon as you have somebody who plays to those strengths, this is going to be nasty. And I do mean really nasty. Really looking forward to this one. And it's the same with the T49 after it. I'm looking forward to the T49, but I'm not looking forward to it as much as this one. This is a keeper. If you're looking which gun to choose between, obviously the 76mm non-autoloader is the better option in terms of penetration, aim time, everything. I just prefer the autoloader for the same reason I've expressed already. It's been able to put that quick damage out and then run away. So I think it's pretty apparent I'm looking forward to that tank. Next tank, the T49. Also a tank I am really looking forward to playing, for very different reasons. Before I mention that though, check out the camo on this thing. This is a new camo coming out in the patch. They've called it retro camo. It's digital camo. I love digital camo, so I'm going to be slapping this on an awful lot of my tanks. So mobility first, you have less armour again on the sides of the turret anyway, you got a little bit more on the front. Hull is identical on every tank in this line. Traverse wise, you are looking 62 degrees, which is less than the Bulldog. You have the same top speed and you have less turret traverse as well. So basically it will do the same top speed, but it'll take longer to get there and it can't maintain it while cornering. So it doesn't drift and it's not as exciting to drive around. What makes this tank interesting is the gun choices. You have two, a conventional style gun or the 152mm. Now let me get this out there very quickly and say I was disappointed by the stats on this gun. KV2, 2 tiers lower, has more damage from its 152mm. It is a different 152mm gun, but still the HE on this thing, which is the primary ammo you are going to be using, has got 780 alpha with only 85 pen. It does have heat as the first choice of ammo. There's no premium, by the way, and you only get 152mm of pen with 560 alpha. Now, you're not going to be using the heat often unless you get lucky and manage to get plates like that at certain angles. Actually, what I should be saying there is the heat on this is very situational. It's only going to be in scenarios where you're facing a tank at the front or the side and you haven't got enough penetration to go through it with 85, so you have to up it to the 152. But there's not going to be an awful lot of tanks where you can go straight through the front with that, unless you've got the angles perfect. And the tanks which you can get through the front, well, they would probably end up being the same tanks which you can get through with the 85mm of penetration on the HE. Or if anything, the HE will be more reliable in that circumstance, because even if it's touch and go, at least you're still going to do some damage rather than nothing. And then with a rate of fire of 4.45, you're going to be waiting a while to hit that reload. So you want to make every single shot count. So coming up against things like an IS-3, you want to use the heat, but it's not going to reliably penetrate, so you end up just firing the HE anyway. So I would have personally liked to see the HE damage towards the 900 mark, which is what it should be really, I think. But that is just my personal opinion, and it is my video, so I'm entitled to it. It's not a bad tank though. Even though those figures aren't what I'd like them to see, it's still not a bad tank. Obviously, the first things that you're going to be coming up against in this, as you're going up to spot, is going to be medium tanks and is going to be light tanks or other light tanks. You will penetrate other light tanks all day long in this thing. You'll see I'm aiming for the weak spot there on top of the gun. I can't get through with this, so I'm not doing the damage I should be doing. Hopefully, if I was aiming directly down on him, I can do it, but I tried several times and I just couldn't get through it with full penetration. So yeah, KV2 is 2 tiers lower. Yeah, I find the gun more reliable when it comes to penetrating because there's less armoured targets to shoot at. I'm not sure if it's because of this. Well, it's probably because of this, because it has great mobility as well. But I still would have liked to have seen it higher. But it's not, so we'll just see how it pans out. You never know, it might not be what it's meant to be, and as a result, it may get buffed in the future, it may not. We'll just have to wait to see how it plays out live. As far as how it does play, it's very good fun, especially when you get high damage rolls, or you do get full penetrating shots. And although you have an option of a 90mm gun, I am still going to be using this just for the giggles. Because it's funny. That's the only reason. There you are, look, you still can't penetrate at this angle through the top. This tank should be all about this gun. And as a result, it should be, well, flat out naughty to do like 800 damage to a tank and then just run off. So we're just going to have to wait to see how it plays out. But for me, I'm still going to use this gun categorically, without a doubt. But because it's not the most reliable when it comes to doing damage, you may find a lot of people will prefer the other gun. And this is the other gun. This is the 90mm T132E3 gun. And it is considerably more reliable. But it's just not as much fun. It's a very good gun, but I still prefer the flat-out giggles which the other tank, or the other gun, could produce. This gun, though, has nearly a rate of fire of 11. It has 173 penetration, 225 average damage, and it's a lot more accurate. Aim time is better. It's just better in every way. But that doesn't mean it's going to be more fun to play. But this does turn it back into a conventional light tank. It's very mobile, it has a good gun, Good gun depression again. It's just a conventional light tank now. But the T49, if anyone has ever seen it on any replays online or played it on any other platforms, it's about the giggles and it's about that big gun. Well, it is for me anyway. But this gun, I think most people will end up playing with. All in all, the characteristics and the stats of these guns, all these tanks on these new 4... Oh, I keep calling it a line. On these new 4, they are different to what people expected them to be. Or a lot of people expected them to be. But that doesn't mean they are bad. They're actually still very, very good, fun tanks. And I can't wait to play them on the live server. All of them. Nah, maybe not the Chaffee as much. Still disappointed by that one because I loved my Chaffee on console. It's just flat out fun. And that's all light tanks are meant to be, is just flat out fun. But they do get better and better as they go up. The T37 is better than the Chaffee. Considerably better, considerably more fun. The Bulldog is just epic. And then the T49, it's good. Hopefully the gun will actually turn out to be better on the live server. We'll soon see. But as it stands, I think people will prefer to use this gun, which is a shame because there's not many light tanks that carry a 152mm gun. And for me, that's what I was really looking forward to doing. The only advantage is you have the mobility, which you wouldn't have in something like a KV2 to run around and put one in the butt. But obviously you're risking taking a lot of damage doing that. Now this is only meant to be a preview. I have been ranting on for nearly half an hour now, so I am going to shut it down by here. When they are live, I will get some footage in and I will get some proper previews, or review rather, of all 4 of them up ASAP, which will probably end up being about a half hour each anyway. But I hope you have enjoyed the video. I've actually enjoyed making the video. It's the first video I've made in nearly a month. All the others were pre-uploaded because I have been away. Again, thank you all for your patience with me while I have been away, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.